Let me ask you something. What do you think would happen if a judge issued a ruling that the person named on a birth certificate, a social security card, and a state identification or driver's license is not the man or woman who is pictured on there? If a judge ever ruled that, what do you think would happen? It would throw this country into immediate chaos. There have been tens of millions, if not 100 million or more in the last 20, 30 years that have been victimized by a corrupt system committing identity theft, stealing people's identity, property theft, stealing people's bodies, and identity fraud, falsely identifying men and women as legal entities, United States citizens, which is read in the law a United States business. Now, anybody who watches my videos, you know that I cite specific laws and I lay them out. You can read them yourself. I read them on the here. The laws that draw me to my conclusion. Not court decisions from any state or federal court, but reading the law. Judges are supposed to make determinations and rulings based on what the law says. Now, I filed a motion, not for dismissal. I filed a motion for this retired judge to issue a ruling. He wasn't retired at that time. To issue a ruling, I believe that I would be committing perjury and fraud if I identified as the defendant named on the court order. And instead of issuing a ruling, no, you would not be committing fraud or perjury. You are the defendant named on there, and let's get on with it. Instead of doing that, he looked at the driver's license that I had laid down, and he said, is that your picture? And I said, yes. But I was going to say, and he interrupted me and said, did you just give me a fake ID? Which he knows is a fake ID. If you read the text of the law, the person named on this identification or driver's license cannot be the man or woman pictured. A legal entity and a man or woman cannot be one and the same thing. Yet this corrupt instrument, this identity of fake ID, identifies the man or woman pictured as the legal entity that is named. That's not possible, people. Not in the real world. This is a conspiracy to commit fraud against the people. If he issued a ruling that said, you're right, you're not the man standing in front of me is not the person named on that court order, it'd tear this country apart. It would be a sentence for every judge, every police officer serving now or still alive, sir, that retired. Because they were all involved in a commission to commit fraud against the people of this nation. Because they're not willing to read the law. They depend on judges to support them and take care of them. They depend on qualified immunity, that they don't get punished for commissioning of fraud against people. Now, we go to a former deputy here, and a lot of people have said this. Okay, my misguided beliefs on it. Okay, we get down here, and they say it's for me to prove and to provide any state or federal court case that would support my claim. No judge has ever heard this question or gave a ruling, yes or no. Yes or no. Not obfuscating like that judge did, but give a ruling, yes or no. Is the man or woman pictured on state identification or driver's license the person named in accordance with what the law says? Not in accordance with personal beliefs, biases, prejudice. What does the law say? And the law is quite clear. The laws that I present that lead me to my conclusion. I don't just throw this shit out here. I read the law. I come to my conclusion. I don't read court cases. I don't care about court cases. What does the law say? And that's all I was asking him to do, is issue a ruling. Basically, was I the man pictured on there, or the man or the person named on the court order, was the man standing in that courtroom, one and the same thing, and he would not do it. Instead, he was fixing to have me arrested for giving a fake ID that was created by the registered business state of Georgia. And it's used as a valid ID, which it is not, because it's impossible for the legal entity and the man or woman to be one and the same thing, even though this fake ID identifies the man or woman, and the legal entity is one and the same thing. Anyways, he knows the law. Point being, no judge is going to make this decision, because what would it do? Every police officer, all of you, retired or not, it would mean that he would be acknowledging that y'all have all commissioned the biggest conspiracy to commit fraud against the people that has ever existed in mankind. At least the last 50 years that I've been alive. He won't make a decision on my motion, but he'll use a trick. I was charged with I wasn't charged, this person was, but it was a Class A misdemeanor. He was fixing to have me thrown in a cage for committing a felony by giving a fake ID, even though it was created by the state of Georgia. So, retired deputy, okay, I cannot provide a court case. Show me a court case where any judge has ever ruled yes or no. You'll see people all the time go in there and say, I'm the living man, I'm not the legal fiction. They'll talk about this trust shit I don't know nothing about. All I know is letter for letter, what does the law say? And the law says what I'm using to draw my conclusion. The law says this is a United States business, which is a United States citizen, and the person named on here is a legal entity. The man or woman pictured on here cannot be one and the same thing. That's what the law says, that's what reality says. But I got to prove my case, okay? And I proved my case, but nobody else will show any evidence. All she or he, whichever one is doing the communicating here, they want me to provide a state or federal court case that would support what I'm saying. It's never going to happen. If they ever did, it would be a sentence for every one of you. Because you didn't bother to read what the law says. You just relied on judges to make decisions on it. And they never decide on what does the law say in regards to the identification of the person named on the court order. They just steamroll over people. I want a judge to make a ruling based on what the law says, not what I say, not what you say, not what he thinks. What does the law say? Who is the person named on the birth certificate, social security card, and the driver's license? What does the law say? Not what everybody believes, not what all the sheep believe. What does the law say? Is the man or woman pictured on the state ID or driver's license recognized in the law as the person named? No, they are not. Show me the law that contradicts what I say. Because anybody knows me and watches my videos, I show the laws that I'm relying on. They are supposed to make their rulings in regards to what the law says. He wouldn't make a ruling on what the law says. You want me to provide a court case that supports what I'm saying, but if all of the courts are corrupt, none of their decisions, there will never be one that will make a judgment on this. They'll do anything they have to not have to make a judgment on this, just like he did. He wouldn't make a judgment. He just pulled a sneaky maneuver, was fixing to charge me with a felony instead of just making a ruling. No, you wouldn't. The law says you would not be committing perjury and fraud in this courtroom. But he wouldn't do it. Why not? Because the law says what I'm saying it says. And like I say, if he ruled that I was not the person on that court order, what would happen? All of you people who go to a police academy for 6 months, and we all know that 6 months of police academy is equivalent to 4 years of law school, and we know that all these lawyers and attorneys are completely honest, even the public defenders, even the defense attorneys, they're all completely honest. I ask one of them, take a birth certificate and get them to let you record it. They won't let you record it. Take a birth certificate in their office and ask them, who is your client? They'll say, you're my client, of course. No, I'm not talking about the legal meaning of you and your. Who is the birth certificate your client, or is the man standing in here your client? See if they'll answer it. They won't answer it. Not being recorded, they won't. I show what leads me to my conclusion. Nobody else will. They won't show me what led the judge to their conclusion.